we're just getting warmed up. So
I don't
we'll
think
wait.
I don't think my video is coming on though.
Okay,
I can see everybody.
You can.
cool,
Okay, cool. Well, I'm at work, so I'll be off and on, but I'll be listening to you guys. Thanks for
great.
doing this. Very nice of you, Diana.
Thank you. Now, if I could just figure out how to get the rest of this, I'll ask you, Ryan, as a tech person. I'm assuming you know a little bit about technology. What happened to the whole um, share with Facebook Live? Is that not an option anymore through Zoom?
That's hilarious that you think that I know this. That I had to download Zoom to do this, so I have
Oh my
no
God.
clue.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Well, that's okay. It used to be super easy to just click Facebook, promote through Facebook Live, and it
They don't make
doesn't
anything. They don't
to
make
do that.
anything easy anymore.
Even when you Google it, all the old answers come up.
Hmm.
Like how to make somebody a co-host. It wouldn't even let me do that either.
Really weird.
Yeah. Well, we're going to give it just another minute or so. So I know that we have a couple people joining from out of state as well.
Good evening, Diana. Unfortunately, I'm in the car. Austin Stokely here.
Hi, Austin. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm currently in Florida at the moment,
Oh,
coming
I
back
feel
from
so
dinner.
bad for you.
Oh, I don't miss the Michigan early winters.
Yeah.
Uh, but if I could give you some advice, technology is supposed to make it easier, not harder.
Right? How to link and sync Zoom with Facebook Live.
That's
Right.
something that's something I've never done, so I cannot
I
help you there,
used to do it all
unfortunately.
the time during, the pandemic when we couldn't do any meetings. And it used to be as simple as a button. It would just show up on there. But now it's, Jen, do you know how to do it?
Nope, I never did Facebook. I mean, I did a lot of Zoom with my students, but not with Facebook Live.
And of course, there's no like search for how to do stuff on Zoom very much. So I'm gonna try one more thing.
You can do what my kids do and ask Chat GPT.
Well, I asked Google and even that couldn't tell me, which is the, precursor to it all. So I guess we're just gonna go with it as is. And as people join in, um, we'll kind of go from there. But this is being recorded just so everybody knows, and we're gonna be able to put this out online for other people that want to share. I was hoping we'd have a few more people, but I know people were messaging me that they were going to be gone tonight, unfortunately. And we had kind of put this together for those who couldn't make it into Petoskey a couple of weeks ago. Um, and just wanted to kind of open the floor to anybody that wants to share some stories about Chris. And I actually have about 60 photos that I'm going to kind of slide um, through um, through tonight just to kind of show this is kind of a real focus in on Chris and his life as a historian in Northern Michigan and as a president of the Michigan Hemingway Society and really one of the most knowledgeable people about the Hemingway family in the whole state of Michigan and about his time here. And so we really wanted to kind of focus in a lot on that. Jen, I'm going to pass it actually to you as the only active board member for the Michigan Hemingway Society currently. And I'll let you share a little bit about your experiences with Chris over the years.
Yeah, I met Chris about 10 years ago when I contacted him looking for a Hemingway plant for the literary garden that I was putting together for our high school. I'm a teacher in West Bloomfield, and Chris sent a cutting. This is before I met him, of the mint that grows in Horton Bay, and it didn't have any roots because Chris didn't know anything about planting. And I called and gave him a hard time. This is before we met in person. And then I had one of the parents that was helping me with the garden owned a place up in Boyne City, and he went up and met Chris before I did and came back with a big bunch of the Horton Bay mint in a Burger King cup. And he had spent, he said, hours with Chris, surprise, surprise, driving around all the Hemingway sites. And the gentleman who helped me out, this parent, was not a Hemingway person necessarily, and ended up spending more time learning about Hemingway that afternoon than he had ever planned to, because of course that's Chris. And then I went up after school got out with my daughter and my then husband, and they went off to do something. And then Chris and I went around looking at all the Hemingway stuff, geeking out as we ended up doing every time that I spent any time with Chris. And that first meeting, and I know, Diana, that I sent you some pictures this afternoon. I think they made it into the Dropbox, but it ended up being one of Chris's favorite stories because
That's a good picture.
we went up to where Summer People was set. And I asked Chris, he said, "Can you see the pilings of the dock?" That's one of the pictures that I took. Um, and I said, "No, I can't see that. It's this picture." I said, "I can't see where the pilings are because I'm short." And Chris ended up in the water. And he said he told a lot of people that story, that I tricked him into getting into the water and reading Summer People from the water because I was too short to see the pilings. He said he told everybody on his tours that story. And I said, "It's not my fault that I was too short to see the pilings where the dock was." But we're instant friends after that. And that was the beginning of a long friendship. And we just enjoyed the hell out of each other. And we were such nerds. It turned out that we had the same favorite band, Toad the Wet Sprocket. And I have some video of him playing Toad on his guitar. And well, I brought one of my classes up in 2017, and there's pictures of us tag teaming, teaching. We planned nothing out ahead of time. We just riffed off of each other, and we had so much fun together. And he was so good with the history, and I jammed on the English, and that was our thing. We just always, oh, that's my friend Kevin. That was the picture that they took getting the mint. So yeah, I mean, he he loved my daughter, and every time we went up, that was our first stop, was to stop in the jewelry shop and to visit Chris. And then he roped me into the Hemingway Society, and I've been there ever since. So, yeah, it's been a great friendship. And
Well, there
there
you
we are.
are.
There we are. Yep, in the water. The water.
So these are all photos that there's another one, Jen,
Yeah,
that I took from Chris's Facebook or
there's my
from
student. Yeah, yeah.
Hemingway Society. Chris ran a lot of tours for the Visitors Bureau in town, and a lot of like the lifelong learning programs for the colleges. He would either go speak or they would come up, and he was just always a part of these tours that were going on through Petoskey and Walloon and Horton Bay and Bayview and even into the Pigeon River in some of the other areas. I actually met Chris when I was interviewing him for an article I was writing on the Hemingway birthday. This was before any of the statues were in northern Michigan. And oh, cut him off there. And I went in and I had an hour appointment to interview him. And I'm sure you can all relate, but 3 or 4 hours later, I was still there at the jewelry store talking about history and about Hemingway. And he was, I mean, if you grew up in Michigan, you knew Hemingway had a tie here,
Oh, there we
but
are.
maybe I never really understood or it never really registered until you spent time with Chris and his love of Hemingway was contagious. And we became instant friends that day. He also roped me into the Hemingway Society, into helping with the conference, promoting it and getting people out there. When Walloon Lake got its new hotel and Valerie came to do events, I helped market and promote those. And anytime anybody wanted to do a story about Hemingway, this Chris was the person that you sent them to for that interview. And I'm having a toast of Pilar rum for Chris tonight. I should have looked at these pictures before they knew they cut off on them. But this glass says never delay kissing a pretty girl or opening a bottle of whiskey. However, I'm drinking Pilar rum in it. I hope that it's acceptable that way. But I'm doing this for Chris tonight.
Very good.
Who else has a story that they might want to share? It can't be just the two of us.
I guess I'll go. For those that don't know me, I am Chris's producer for his podcast, Tales of Northern Michigan's Past, and I apologize. It's dark where I'm at. I'm currently on my way back from dinner.
He would love it.
Uh, but yeah, working with Chris was absolutely phenomenal. Just how much, like what you said, Jennifer. Just so much knowledge that he had about everything in Northern Michigan, especially Hemingway. And I was asked by my company, McDonald Garber Broadcasting, to step in as his producer. And I said yes. The reason behind that is I also have my own podcast, so I have experience editing and doing all the fancy work behind the scenes to make sure the podcast is as crisp as possible. For Chris, I was just floored by how much information he had. And the first episode I actually jumped on was the conversation with Valerie Hemingway. Just listening to that whole total of 2 hours, it just going back and forth was phenomenal. After it was recorded, I told Chris, I'm not touching her voice at all. I can tidy you up, Chris, but I'm not touching hers because I want the authenticity of it all. And Valerie calls him back about a week and a half later after the show airs. And she says, Chris, why do you sound so professional? I just sound like absolute crap. What are you talking about? And Chris just had to laugh and say, we decided to keep you in your authentic self, and we felt it sounded so much better just hearing everything in its authenticity as we're just picking your brain. So it was one of those moments that I just felt was really incredible, just how much history was being talked about, specifically about Ernest Hemingway in that one conversation, which was ultimately broken up into 3 parts. And going from there, I knew this was going to be an epic journey. And we had planned so many more episodes. And I still have a little index card somewhere in my files about new episodes, from Beaver Island to the Mackinac Bridge and beyond that. So just a few possible episodes that might have happened. And I will mention the podcast itself. I have not made an ultimate decision on what to do, but the episodes are going to remain up for the foreseeable future. They're not going anywhere and that's just a decision that me and my bosses came to, just to say, it's too much history to just take down. And this is something that I feel like needs to be expanded upon in a way. And I'm currently in a conversation with one of Chris's friends from downstate about doing a in memoriam episode, similar to this, but calling people around and just giving a few words about Chris, and then maybe continuing it in a way.
So, Austin, I'm not sure if you can see the screen, but I'm actually scrolling through your website with all of these podcasts.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, so everybody can kind of um, see which ones they are. I just scrolled past a couple of mine a minute ago, which was kind of cool. It's nice to know that they'll have a permanent home there. And this would be great road trip listening, just bring it on up and plug it into your car and listen to these podcasts as you're traveling around the state.
So yeah, they're readily available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you hear some banging in the background, I have two dogs that are waiting their parents. So I apologize for any banging from tail wagging.
Mm.
But yeah, I will note, I've been asked a few questions about the podcast and the future of it. So um I will just say stay tuned and look at the Tales of Northern Michigan's Past Facebook page to see where things go from there. Because ultimately, that was Chris's pride and joy right there. The podcast, bringing that to life and bringing that to Northern Michigan and beyond. And it was just an incredible thing to work with.
I'm looking at this one up now about Club Manitou and Club Ponytail. And the last tour I took with Chris was with Taylor DeWicki, and we went through that old Prohibition era house with the supposed tunnels underneath that went across to the airport in Harbor Springs. And he wanted for so long, Chris wanted to get that house open so people could learn that history. And he finally was able to be a part of what was going on up there so that people now can go through and learn. And Taylor's really driving that bus, but Chris was instrumental in helping to bring awareness to that part of Northern Michigan's history as well.
Austin, I suspect your index card looks a lot like my notes about what he wanted to do with the Hemingway Society. So let me know if you want to chat.
Of course, yes. And yeah, it's a whole list. So I'd be more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to share? There's got to be
This
more
is
than
Ryan. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to skedaddle. Like I said, I'm at work. But I am not from Northern Michigan. I'm from Lansing, and I have been friends with Jeff Struble, who is Chris's brother, for over 20 years, and I've spent many holidays with Chris and with Tanya. This last summer, I had the privilege of spending a lot of time in Charlevoix. The friend of mine that I was with had to do dialysis, so he was having to go to Petoskey every other day. And what was I going to do for 4 hours? So I just went and sat in Chris's store, and he took me to lunch, and that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed spending time with him this summer. Very, very sad to see him gone. But the amount of love that everyone has shown has been overwhelming. So thank you so much for doing this. And I apologize that I do have to take off, but thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. And
Thanks.
thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us for a few minutes.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank
Bye-bye.
you, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan, for being
You
here.
got it,
You're
Tom.
you're a good buddy, and I will see you soon. Love you.
You got love you too, Tom. Take
Okay,
care,
buddy.
guys. Thanks.
You
Bye-bye.
bet.
So Dennis Brogan, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, damn, girl.
Well, that's what
Jesus,
happens-
I've been here about
That's-
90 seconds.
I know, but you put your face up on screen now, so I feel like
Yeah, but I'm good. I'm good.
yeah. So Dennis was one of our inaugural year Walloon Lake Writers Retreat participants that Chris helped me put together. And this coming year will be our 5th year that we're doing that.
Can't
Our
believe
first year
it's 5 years. My God.
the first year was rough. We had a lot of our tour with Chris got iced out because we had the event in March. We got an ice storm.
Well, we
And
should do that again. So there's ice there because it's
no,
perfect in March.
I've had enough ice after
Yeah,
last
I bet you
winter.
already now.
So, the second year John Hemingway came and we had moved it to April and we had 75-degree weather. So, Dennis, I know you got a chance to briefly meet Chris when you were up here for the writers retreat, and you are an active Hemingway, um,
Freak,
a fan. Oh, freak.
freak,
Okay, well, if that's
freak,
what you want.
freak, freak,
I
freak.
wasn't going to call you a freak, but
Yeah, I'm a freak. Thank you. I didn't realize you introduced me so quickly, but I met Chris twice. Um, I believe in the rule of eight. When you meet someone in 8 seconds, you decide whether they're worth your time to listen, for you to listen to them, or they might listen to you. And he struck me as someone who's in that rule of eight. Um, I thought him to be a pretty remarkable individual. I've been to Walloon twice. It's 900 miles from my house, and I can be in Charleston in 900 miles, South Carolina, in 900 miles. Didn't know that the first time I went. Um, had an incredible experience. Diana, what you've created there is an amazing platform for young or old, aspiring or successful creative writers to stop in and spend 4 days. And Chris was a really giving human being. His knowledge on the Hemingways in northern Michigan is there's no one who probably knows more than he did at the moment he lived.
Yeah.
His passion for that was second to none. And when I saw he passed, and I actually saw I think it was a post on Facebook where he talked about leaving us. I've studied Ernest Hemingway for about 45 years. I'm familiar with CTE, PSTD. You don't have to go to war to have PSTD. You can have a relationship. Um, and just to share this, I think we have to honor folks who decide to leave us way too fucking early of their own choice. Because you know what? We need to honor their choice. As sad as it is, it really is sad because I had talked to Chris in the inaugural year. I had an amazing experience where I went to the Windermere and stood there I think it was Friday morning before our event. And I felt this like, wow, I'm like, oh, wow, Ernest is here. And I realized it was Grace on Sunday. It was Grace Hemingway's spirit. And I said on Sunday to Chris, I said, that morning, I'm a marketing guy. That morning I went on and I bought the Grace Hemingway Center for the Arts at walloonlake.com.org. Whatever it is. I said, I'd love to work with you on this because her spirit embodies this lake. Kristen, who Diana knows very well, and I've become great, great, great. She's almost family to me now, and I think that if he'd hung around a little longer, we might have been able to create that with his knowledge behind it. And so let me just put this the right way. I'm dedicated to. He's such a cool guy like the Diana, how long we get to, you got an hour here, an hour here with Chris. He did the interview with Valerie and sat in the bar with us and chatted, and he was just so engaging. Um, I'd put up the first couple grand, I'll say this right now, to start that 501c3 in his honor of the Grace Hemingway Center for the Arts at Walloon Lake, whatever it may be, because and I've talked to Kristen Hemingway Janes about this, and she's like, "Oh, you have to do that." Like, how do we do that? I don't know how we do that. I mean, I do because I've set up a bunch of them, but I think this young man's passion for northern Michigan, which is a lot like I'm in Syracuse, New York. It's a lot like upstate New York, northern New York, where there's lakes and water and frogs and trout and deer and whatever it may be. That something like this could be really positive from this tragedy, to create something that would be endearing and engaging and everlasting in his name and Grace's. And I don't think he ever intended that. But if Chris Struble's name could be engaged with Grace Hemingway's for a legacy, he'd probably be smiling on us right now. That came that I didn't want to, wasn't my thought to share that, but that's what I think is possible. And if you guys don't get on board, I'm going to do it anyways.
Amen.
I won't put that past you there. I was gonna bring up I was trying to share for those who haven't been on a tour with Chris. I thought we might take a little tour with him
He was so fun to be around, you know.
to Horton Bay. Let's see if it actually picks up.
Reaction to it. Well, in Northern Michigan, if you've ever been
Can
up
you guys
there,
actually hear that?
good God, you know,
I can,
was-
yes.
I can.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't use shampoo. I know that. You don't use.
I mean, it's lovely that we have like those podcasts, and then we have lots of these photos and these interviews of him, you know, showing people down in Horton Bay.
Well, some get full family. The grandfather.
I wonder if that shirt was totally worn
His
out
mother was deceased, and there was also a lost generation.
because he wore that shirt all the time.
Well, guys, men can wear shirts for weeks without washing. It doesn't matter.
They still look good.
Or holes under the arms, you know. I mean,
She meets Hemingway here. She's got a bigger string of fish than he did. So he's like, "Hey, nice string of fish," and that was.
And you know, he just his way of telling stories.
At that time, and then in 1919, when he's living with Toski, of course, they became really, really good friends.
how do we tell his story?
So he has 400 some letters.
Good point.
Oh,
That's nice.
we're gonna need a lot of paper.
Yeah, but I mean, how does someone tell Chris's story?
We
This
need
is a story.
Walloon t-shirts. We all need Walloon t-shirts with holes in them.
You know, that's what guys do. We don't care. You know what I mean? Sorry, but you know, sorry.
And bald caps.
And sunglasses.
Hey, Diana, I do have a question as well.
Yes.
When I was working with Chris on a few of the later episodes before his passing, he had mentioned to me that he was actually doing a documentary about Hemingway with a French filmmaker.
Yes. I actually put them in touch with him because I didn't want to deal with them.
Do you know what has come about of that film at all?
I don't, but I do have their contact information because they had reached out to me originally. So you know that wasn't his first film. He helped George Colburn with the Path to Paris, I think is the final name. It had like 10 names over the course of the history of it being done. But Austin, I can put you in touch. I will make a note to put you in touch with those people or to follow up with them and see what the status of that is. I don't know the timeline or
Because
anything.
I was just thinking about that today, and I remember he had mentioned that to me, which I don't know how many people he actually mentioned that to. That was just something I was thinking about, since he had a lot of funny behind the scenes stories that he told me about that.
I was looking to see. I thought that there was a photo that I had snagged of him when they were out there shooting some stuff, and I'll have to look through all these pictures to see if I can find it because I'm pretty sure he had one that I snagged at some point.
Was one of them where he was neck deep in water on the side of the road?
Oh, that I don't know.
That's one of the stories he told me. It was really funny how he mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't happen to see it on here right now, but they were a piece of work. I don't know. They kept running him around, well, both of us at one point about just trying to coordinate it all and trying to communicate with them on different time zones. And everything was a little bit of a challenge as well until they got here.
You know, I only met him twice, or maybe 4 times, 2 weekends. Very inquisitive guy. I brought up some things that I, know about Hemingway that he didn't, and then he told me more than I know about Hemingway. um,
Yeah.
and you know, how do us honor Chris Struble in the legacy that he created? The last 15, 20 years, he's been the guy. And who's the guy or the gal in Northern Michigan who's going to pick up the yoke and grab the reins and go, I mean,
It's going to take a team.
I was just gonna say
then,
the same thing. Yeah, it's
There's not
he's
one person that can do it.
no, he did
well,
so
then
much.
let's put
Yeah,
together the team. Let's put together. I mean, I'm intrusive. I'm sorry because
that's
I
okay.
don't live in Northern Michigan. Let's
Well,
put
one of the
together
things
the team.
we are doing, and we had been working with Chris for the last couple of years, was, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of nonprofit organizations just didn't survive. It was
Right.
really hard to get them back together. I mean, I work in the nonprofit world, and I am getting ready to vote to dissolve an organization that's been around for 25 years that didn't survive. And so we had been, Jen and I and a couple others had been working with Chris for a couple of years, trying to get the organization back on track, an organization whose average age of membership was 80 and who there just wasn't enough people, younger people, to pick up the reins for those that had been carrying that for so long and now couldn't because of health or a couple of them even passed away, and so it just became really difficult to keep the organization going. And Chris was trying to do that and his podcast and run his jewelry store and have a family and do all this and that and this and that, and it became so much. And so we were trying to kind of work to relieve some of that load on him and let him spend more time being the expert and less time being the managerial person to run the organization. And so we've kind of taken a little break in that while we've grieved Chris's loss. But, and I said at his in-person memorial, the thing that we need to do is, get that Hemingway Society strong, get it there for future generations. That getting that going is part of his legacy, is getting that, keeping that Hemingway story alive and strong, not just for those of us who already know it, but for the generations coming up.
Okay, that's the mission statement for the Grace Hemingway .com Arts and Center and org. Basically, because I had the same conversation with Kristen, and she said, I said, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to ensure that my great grandfather's legacy of literature lives on beyond my lifetime. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot to take on that's a lot. I think Chris would agree because it was, I mean, again, I had maybe 40 minutes of conversation with him. And when I saw he had left us, I was just like, excuse my language, fuck, man. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Jesus, and then I saw that many of you had into somehow the communications had you supported him through he'd been open about it and support him, which makes it even harder for you folks if you have been supported of him as you probably would be if it wasn't this public. But there's how do I say this? Everybody says this. I don't want to fucking be here right now. Okay. And it may be that you don't want to be at your desk and you want to go home to cuddle up in bed because you don't feel good or you're ready to go. I've lost a couple dozen friends in my lifetime this way. And in the early stages, I would question and go like, why? What? And then I stopped to go, stop asking why and just support them on their mission because, and the mission is not done. And I think Chris would want us to, and again, I didn't know him really well. Never bought a ring from him, but I enjoyed his conversation and his stories. Let's figure out a way to let the legacy of Chris engage and grow with the legacy of maybe of the Hemingways. And in North, it's born in northern Michigan. I mean, everything in regards to anything ever written came out of northern Michigan. Whether after Grace gave Ernest the cottage, he never came back. It was still all related to that youthful time in northern Michigan.
Well, and I think anytime anybody goes on, takes the self-guided walking tour, yes, it was the Michigan Hemingway Society that spearheaded that tour, but Chris was at the helm when that program took off. And every
Yeah.
time you pass one of the buildings with one of those bronze plaques on it, anytime I walk past these buildings downtown, it always brought up the thought of Hemingway, but now, it brings up that thought of Chris as well, because that was, I remember working when we got the plaque and the statue in Walloon Lake. And, my working with that village for the last several years came because Chris put them in touch with me. And, to see every time I see those signs now, every time I go past one of those Hemingway sites in northern Michigan, I think of Ernest Hemingway, but I also think of Chris because without his leadership and the Michigan Hemingway Society and the forethought to identify these sites, we wouldn't have that walking tour. We wouldn't have the attention that the area has for that. And even just walking past other historic buildings in northern Michigan, knowing that Chris knew the backstory. That was part of what, when we first met, we were finished with our Hemingway interview in an hour, but then we started talking about Club Manitou and the Huron Mountain Club and Beaver Island and Mackinac Island. And we were talking about all these other historic sites and other parts of history. And, that was what most of our conversations were about when we would get together, whether that was at a Hemingway event or just bumping into each other at the bookstore in downtown Petoskey. So it was just all of that.
I don't want to promote myself, but my audiobook, A Patriot Peacemaker, a story from Walloon Lake is up on Audible now. It's been a 3-year project or 2-year project. And it's based in Walloon Lake with a gentleman named Seth Longfield. Do you remember Seth?
Oh yeah.
John. I told you I was
Yeah.
going to write a story about John, and I did.
Yep.
But it engages the conversation of the treaties of the Haudenosaunee and 2 Marines, one from Walloon Lake, Michigan, Seth, who was he was a Marine who didn't he work at like the national parks, and his grandfather was a lighthouse keeper, right?
His grandfather was from South Manitou Island and was a Norwegian fisherman who was on the boat when the lighthouse keeper and his wife went and were lost at sea.
Okay, all right. So it's a weird, so that my whole writing synthesis began on that lake. And so Diana, maybe you and I could have a conversation offline about how I can support this in some regard, because I see an opportunity to do a bunch of things to prolificate. Is that a good word? To prolificate the legacy of the Hemingways in northern Michigan and Chris Struble, this jeweler who had this undying passion. Somewhere he picked it up about Ernest and the Hemingways, because it wasn't just about Ernest. It was about the Hemingways in northern Michigan. And I'm from Syracuse, New York, and there's some great stories around my community, and I understand that passion of a locality. And I wouldn't be a writer today if I wasn't in Walloon, Michigan with you on that 3-day weekend. So, and a publisher and a book agent, and I've got, but I'm not selling me. I'd like to support this any way I can. So offline, I'll
Yeah,
pop you
absolutely.
all right. In the
Well,
meantime,
well,
um,
now that you
honor
talked about your book,
Chris,
I'm
man. I
going to
mean,
talk about my book.
oh, go ahead. Oh man, whoa, wow, what a great picture.
So this is a picture. I know some of us on this call were fond of Chris for his interest in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book called Michigan's Haunted Lighthouses, and this is a picture of Chris taken at the Shishwa Point Lighthouse, which is in Gulliver in the UP. And it was he had a ghost encounter at this light, and so his story is in my book. And because I went to the light and didn't have a ghost encounter, and so I made him tell me his story, and then he went back up, and his daughter Michaela actually took this photo of. He purposely made a special trip to get a picture of him inside of the lighthouse so that I could put it in my book. But for anybody that's familiar with this lighthouse, it's haunted by the ghost of keeper Joseph Willie Townsend, who was a cigar smoker. And when you tour the light, you can sometimes smell the cigar smoke. And Chris actually had that experience when he was there, and shared that with me. But I know, Austin, I think there were some of the podcasts that you did that involved some of the paranormal stuff as well.
Yes, that was actually before me, but another podcast that is also available that we didn't get back to, unfortunately, was the Ghosts of Northern Michigan's Past. And that story might actually be up there. I'm not exactly sure. I have to go back and look. But I think that might be one of them.
Yeah, he used to do his walking ghost tours through downtown Petoskey, and he'd always get, like, particularly in October. And if I was in town and I saw that he was taking a tour, I would sneak in the back of the tour and see how long it would take before he noticed that I snuck into his tour. And if he didn't notice right away, then I would holler out a really obnoxious question from the back of the group. And then he would see me there, and then he'd be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an interloper. Like, this person has crashed our tour," and we'd have a good ribbing about it. But every time I probably went on 5 or 6 tours. I ran a couple of the Hemingway tours with him as well when he had bigger groups. Um, and I learned something new every single time, even though I'd been on the exact same tour multiple times, because he just had so much knowledge that you would pick up when you would go out on these various tours with him. So, all right. Does anyone else have any stories to share? Please,
Well,
Marianne, go ahead. Thank you for your
hi.
patience.
So I'm sure you're all wondering who the heck am I? I'm coming to you from Toronto. I'm the Canadian representative.
Nice.
Um, I don't know that I have stories per se to tell, but I've been to Petoskey many times. The first time was in 2012 when the Hemingway conference was there, and I've been to a couple of Michigan Hemingway Society events. I I was thinking, what do I think about Chris? I was really very, very sad to hear of his passing, because we didn't communicate a lot, but we did communicate back and forth a few times. I always thought of him as very welcoming and certainly to me, and very knowledgeable. And I happen to live just down Bathurst Street from the apartment building here that's known as the Hemingway, because Hemingway and Hadley lived there. I also live quite close to where Ralph and Harriet Conable lived. Um, and I wrote a book about Hemingway in Toronto, which was published in 2024. And one of my keepsakes, which I was trying to find, but I couldn't find it, was Chris sent me a picture of him in his jewelry store holding up my book, which I thought was very, very nice of him. And when I was writing this book, I certainly came to believe that there was a lot of Michigan here in Toronto with Hemingway. The Constables, for one thing. He and Hadley were very good friends of theirs, as you all probably know. And Mr. Constable, I've read his book, and I think he told a lot of tales about being in the woods in Michigan. But the other sort of interesting thing, which isn't in my book, but on his first day here in 1923, Hemingway was sent to interview a fairly famous Canadian railway person. And this person had spent a lot of time in the woods in Michigan when he was younger. So I always pictured that here Hemingway was in Toronto, not very happy about being here, as you probably know. And the first person he sent to interview is somebody who has his shared experience of Michigan. And this railway person lived sort of a similar life to Hemingway in the sense that his parents wanted him to be something. I can't remember, doctor, lawyer, whatever. And he didn't follow what his parents wanted for him. He went off and found his own way. So I always pictured maybe Hemingway and this fellow talking about pursuing your dreams.
Is this your book?
So I just wanted to. Oh, my book is called. Oh yeah, that's my book. Yeah.
Nice.
For you.
So, the International Hemingway Conference will be in Toronto next July, and
That's right.
I will be there.
Oh,
I'm so
great.
excited. It's the first time that I'm attending the international conference. And my second time to Toronto. I came a couple years ago and we did a little Hemingway tour of different places. The only thing I didn't get to was the Kingston prison, which we're going to try to do. I'm going to come for the whole week in July and I'm going to try to get over to the prison and take a tour there.
Well, I divide my time between Toronto and Kingston,
Oh.
and I don't know if you know anything about my book, but as people may know, the first day Ernest is sent to cover the prison break at Kingston Pen. So my novel is about Hemingway and the convicts on the run.
That's wonderful.
But anyway, I really didn't try to promote my book. I really wanted to say how sad I was. Very sorry that I won't see Chris again because of, the pandemic, and actually my husband passed away and I never made it back to Michigan. Now there are like a few other issues of going into the United States, but I miss it very much.
Well, thank you for sharing. I'm writing the name of your book down. And then I might reach out if I'm going to be there in July of next year. So
yeah, for sure. I've pitched my paper for the conference, so we'll see.
Oh, I'm delayed in mine. They extended the deadline until the 30th of this month. We'll see if I actually get mine done. I'm a little late to the game. And I've never presented at the conference, so I'm not exactly sure what that whole thing is like. So
I guess we all have to.
I gave a paper in Paris at the conference in Paris.
Oh, really? Wonderful.
I wasn't the main event by any means. There was like maybe 20 people there, but it was wonderful.
Guess we all have homework.
I apologize for interrupting. I was just going to comment, we all should write books now, I guess.
Right?
Well, that's why I thought I'd speak up since the writers were coming out of the woodwork.
It tends to happen that way. Is there anyone else that would like to share anything?
Well, Christopher, I always called him Christopher.
Was he in trouble? It sounds like he was in trouble if you called him Christopher.
No. It's just what I always called him. He was my nephew. And he was close with my two boys. They thought a lot of him. And so he was a wonderful part of our family. And they always had a good time when they got together. I don't know much about the Hemingway, but I know he loved it up north. And I think he grew well. Some of us, because his mom was from around Gaylord and Gaylord area, and so he loved it up north.
Yeah.
But he was a wonderful kid. I call him a kid, and I loved him very much. And my kids and I both are going to miss him dearly. We loved going up and seeing him.
Where do you live now, Sue Ellen?
I'm in just outside of Lansing, Grand Ledge.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, I see Tom's got that beautiful emblem on the wall behind him there. Jen probably doesn't like it so much, but I love it. Go green.
Yes.
Go white. Me also.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority with that one. Go blue.
I think Jen will be on your side with that too, Austin. I think her daughter's getting ready to graduate from there, isn't she?
My daughter is getting ready to graduate, and I also know when to keep my mouth shut.
Well, unfortunately, just on the side of that, Michigan is the only team that's really winning.
Yep.
And I'm a go green, go white for sure, but that's just the way the sports field is.
That's the way it goes this year.
I knew I liked you, Tom Struble. I knew I liked you.
It'll come back.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Are there is anyone else wanting to wanting to share anything? So I don't want to drag people on all night long if there are other things that need to be done, but if there's anybody else, I don't want to cut anybody else off either. So
well, I have to say that everybody has hit the nail on the head as far as my son Chris. And dearly missed for sure. But he amazed me at the times I was up there in the Petoskey area. And he showed me different places that his tours encountered. And it was just absolutely amazing, his knowledge of that area and what Hemingway had done. So very educational, still love the area, but certainly is going to be missed from him. And as you all know, so legacy continues, Jennifer or Diane for sure.
yeah, he left a big legacy, that's for sure.
Yes.
You know, those of us who may have never really known the Hemingway story without him.
Amen.
Yeah.
And we're just a handful. I mean, think about how many tours he did a year, how many people were on those tours, how many talks he gave, how many people he reached over the years. I mean, I knew him for 11 years, and I know he was doing it before then. So how many people out there that he touched with his stories and his humor? Oh my gosh, he was so hilarious. Sometimes you couldn't tell if he was serious or if he was joking.
You're right. That's right.
And I'd have to stop and think, should I be offended by what he said or should I just laugh? Like, because sometimes he was so deadpan about it that you didn't know if he was joking at first.
Yeah, you're right.
Was he like that as a kid too?
Yes. The funny part about is he was a kid, Hemingway was the furthest away from his mind. You know, he was a musician. He played one heck of a guitar and played in a couple bands. And as a matter of fact, Kid Rock, his idol Kyle would come into the store and his security people would come into the store and buy huge rings and, from him. And he just got the biggest kick out of, publicizing that. So that's a little thing from, the aside of the
All those
Hemingway.
one thing I remember from all those band photos was
Yeah.
that he had hair.
Oh,
He did.
Because I've never known him to have hair.
that's
He
true.
did. He did have hair, and he just decided not to deal with it anymore.
Yep.
I will say, speaking on Kid Rock and Kenny Olson, that was another great interview I was able to sit in on when Chris had Kenny Olson in the studio. What was it, last year? That was a really cool one. I will say Kenny was very quiet throughout the entire thing. I really had to boost up his voice a lot in order for it to be audible.
Sure.
But
Interesting.
it was definitely more of a challenging one for sure, but it was really incredible just to hear that conversation as well as multiple others that he did.
Well,
All right.
And then, oh, I'm sorry, I had one more towards Jennifer. I know you had mentioned about reaching out in the near future. I know Diana, I think you have my phone number, correct?
Yes, it's in that little notebook that I had with me that I don't know where it is right now, but I think it's in my purse. But yes, I have
Okay.
it. I will pass that
If
along.
you don't mind giving that to Jennifer on my behalf,
Nope.
that'd be great.
Yep, I will
Thank
make
you,
a note
Oscar.
here.
Mary Ann, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you. It was nice to share time with you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
bye.
Have a good night.
Jennifer, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm sorry for your handicap, but good luck going forward.
Find out more.
I appreciate it very much, Tom. Thank you.
Well, with
Thank
that,
you, Jennifer. Thank you, everybody, for honoring my brother.
Oh, well,
Of course.
thank you, Jeff. Thank you for being with us.
I was
Thank
going to
you.
share one more photo, but now I don't know where it went. So, but I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to share with us tonight. And, Petoskey's just not going to be the same for a while. It's I've been up there 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks, and I've got to go back up there this coming weekend. And the town has a little cloud over it right now, but I know that it will pass, and that I will think about Chris fondly when I go past these Hemingway sites, and I think other people will do the same. He's left an impact there that will not soon be forgotten.
Amen, for sure. Thank you, Jennifer, for doing this.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Memories
you
are
all.
always a good
Yep.
thing.
They are. And we have lots of photos, and we have all those podcasts, and we have videos of tours. So when we start to miss them, we can just listen to one of those. And
Great.
thankfully, we have those preserved so that we can hear him tell those stories in his distinct voice. And I mean that more than just the sound of his voice, but in the inflections that he gave and in the way he told a story. So I'm very happy that we have, because some people don't have that from their loved ones when they lose them, and we're very fortunate that we have all of these assets with Chris's photos and videos that we'll be able to enjoy for years to come. So
Amen.
yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you all again. Have a wonderful evening and rest of the week and upcoming holiday season as well.
Thank you for all this.
Thank you.
Very good.
You bet.
Jeff,
Thank you.
Yes.
Jeff, are
Good night,
you with
everybody.
us still?
Thank
Bye.
you. Huh?
Good night,
Jeff,
Jennifer.
Good night. Thank you. Jeff, are you with us?
All right.
I
Yeah,
am.
Jeff's
I don't know
still
why
here.
my camera keeps showing on, but it won't turn on. I don't know why.
Oh, that's okay. I wanted to tell you something that Chris had said to me last month when I talked to him. He was talking about you and he said, "You know how much you love me?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, my brother is 10,000 times sweeter than I am. So I wanted to let you know that.
Oh, I'm so glad my camera won't come on.
He loved you so much, and he was trying to tell me what kind of a person you were. And that just stuck out to me. I've never heard anybody describe a sibling like that.
Yes, I talk to him daily.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yes, just daily, especially recently. And
Yeah. Yeah. It was the sweetest thing I've ever heard anybody say about a sibling. I don't know that I'd ever describe my own sister like that.
that's amazing. Yes, I have
I've
always
been
looked up
trying to
to
get
him.
I've been trying to get a hold of you to tell you that, and I'm glad that you came.
Oh, thank you. I always looked up to him. I was so proud of him.
Yep. Yep. I just I didn't know if anybody had ever told you that. So
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad I got
And
this
Yes.
on that note, everybody's crying, so thanks.
Well, it's a beautiful thing
Yes.
to say, you know?
Yeah. No, it is.
Yes.
It
Yes,
is.
he's
It
he's
says a lot
amazing.
about who he is and who he was, and you
Yes,
know, of course,
he's
he managed to get a compliment into himself before he threw the compliment onto you. So
yes. Yes. I miss his humor.
I know, me too, me too.
Yes. Well, thank you very